Okay, so now let's take a look at section 7C, and we're going to do finding angles instead of side lengths. So in our last video, we found our side lengths. So now what happens with angles? So we're really going to do what we call the inverse. Since we know the sides, but we don't know the angle, we want to do our inverse. And just a reminder as far as what that looks like, the inverse is right here, sine raised to the -1 of your side lengths 3 divided by 4 for this example here. Um, so let's actually take a look at a problem so that we can figure out what our angles are. So it says correct to 3 sig fig. We want to find that measure of theta. So notice where theta is. Here's our angle. So this would be my adjacent side, and this would be my hypotenuse. And so this is going to be your cosine. So we have the cosine. Remember, your angle is always what goes with your trig function. So we have theta is equal to your adjacent over your hypotenuse. So in order to get rid of this cosine, we need to multiply it by the cosine of -1. And when we do that, that gets rid of our cosine. And we're just left with our theta, which is what we want. But if I do it to one side, I have to do it to the other side. So theta is actually equivalent to the cosine of -1 of 3/5. And so to get this, you're going to go second cosine. Again, make sure your calculator is always in degrees. So we're going to go second cosine, 3 divided by 5, and we end up with 3 sig fig would be 53.1 degrees. And that is our angle theta. Okay, let's take a look at our next one. So here is our angle theta. This is going to be my hypotenuse, and then this is going to be my opposite. So opposite and hypotenuse is your sine function. So we have the sine of theta is equal to opposite is 5/7. And then again, to get rid of that sine, I have to do sine to the -1 on both sides so that the sine cancels, and we just have theta is equal to sine to the -1 of 5/7. And then go second sine to get the inverse, and then 5 divided by 7, and we end up with theta is equivalent to 45.6 degrees if we round 3 sig fig. So there's an example of sine, and now let's take a look at an example of tangent. So again, here's our angle. This would be my opposite. This is my adjacent, which is why we're going to use tangent. So we have the tangent of theta is equal to opposite of 6, adjacent is 7. And then to get rid of that tan, we have to go tangent to the -1 on both sides. And so those two cancel each other out. And we get theta is equal to the tangent to the -1 of 6/7. And then type that into our calculator. And 3 sig fig, we get 40.6 degrees. And there would be examples for each of your trig functions on how to find the angle measures.